Today we're going to move on to multiplying and dividing with inequalities. So it's basically the same thing that we did yesterday, but today we are going to have to look at those rules of when the sign reverses. So let's first look at if it's an open dot shaded to the left, what is this? Less than. If it's a solid dot shaded to the left, what is it? Less than or equal. And I'm going to abbreviate. If it's an open dot shaded to the right, it's greater than. And if it's a solid dot shaded to the right, it's greater than or equal to. All right, the rule is when you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, you must flip the inequality sign. Write that down. When you multiply or divide both, that's the clue, both sides by a negative, you must flip the sign, the inequality sign. So I'm going to teach y'all a little trick. Once you've combined all like terms and you're down to like 2 steps, if the coefficient is negative, the sign is going to reverse. What did I just say? If the coefficient is negative, the sign is going to reverse, because the only way to get rid of a negative coefficient is to multiply or divide by a negative. Does that make sense? Now, you can't look at that until you've combined all your like terms and stuff, and then you'll know if you're going to reverse the sign. All right, so look at this first one. Is the coefficient negative? No, so you're not going to flip the sign. Okay? To solve for x, I got to get rid of divide by 4 by multiplying by 4. Whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right, and I get x is less than 20. Okay, to graph that, I would have like 19, 20, 21. It would be an open dot and shaded to the left. And I'm going to go quick because this is a review from 7th grade. Look at the next example. Does it have a coefficient that's negative? That means I'm not going to flip the sign. I'm going to divide by 4, which is dividing both sides by a positive, which leaves me with my sign of greater than. And negative 23/4 is negative 5.75. Now, a lot of you on the assignment from yesterday, you were struggling with labeling your number lines with negatives. Just remember, it goes backwards from 0. So if negative 5 is here, here's negative 525, negative 550, negative 575, negative 6. It goes backwards. So negative 575 would be an open dot here, and it's greater than. Questions? On the next one, does the variable have a negative coefficient? Yes, so what is going to happen to the sign? It's going to flip. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 8. The m, now the sign flips. Instead of less than or equal to, it becomes greater than or equal to, because I multiplied both sides by a negative. And negative 2 times negative 8 is positive 16. And then I'm going to put this on a number line. It is a solid dot because it's or equal to, shaded to the right. Okay, try the next one on your own. Okay, how did we do? Good? Easy? Flip to the back. Now, what side do we want the variable on? So you could go ahead before you solve it and rewrite it. So I could write y divided by negative 2.5, but I do have to reverse the sign. I'm not really reversing it. I'm just switching the inequality around. The y has the sign open to it, like this. Are y'all with me? Like, I really didn't reverse the sign. I reversed the whole inequality. Okay, now I can solve by getting rid of the negative 2.5. Is the coefficient negative? So what's going to happen to the sign? It's going to flip. So I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2.5. The sign is going to flip since I multiplied both sides by a negative, and negative 4 times negative 2.5 is positive 10. And so y is less than or equal to 10. Okay, the next one is the coefficient negative. So is the sign going to reverse? Yes, because I'm going to divide by negative 2 on both sides. So x is greater than or equal to 3/2 or 1.5. Okay, the last one. What side do I want the variable on? On the left. So I'm just going to go ahead and reverse the entire inequality. And I changed that to a decimal because I like decimals better than that fraction. Does the coefficient have a negative? Yes. So is the sign going to reverse? Yes. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. So I have y, and I'm going to reverse my sign, is less than negative 5/6 or negative 0.83. Both of those answers are good. Now, I like the negative 0.83 because I don't really want to have to graph the 5/6, okay? So here's my number line. Here's 0. Here's negative 0.5, and here is negative 1. Negative 0.83 is going to be closer to the negative 1, and it's an open dot shaded to the left. Does anybody have questions? Okay, let's move on. We're going to write the inequality, we're going to solve, and then we're going to do what? Graph it. How many answers does this have? 3. So let's write it first. The product. What is a product? The answer to multiplication. So I'm going to multiply negative 15ny, so negative 15y, because that's how I show multiplication in algebra, is less than negative 18. That's my first answer. Now I'm going to solve it. How would I solve? By dividing by negative 15. I'm dividing both sides by a negative, so my sign is going to reverse. So I have y is greater than, and negative 18 divided by negative 15 is positive 1.2. Then I'm going to graph it. Here's 1, here's 2. 1.2 is right in here, shaded to the right.
For a fraction, would it be 6/5?
Okay, on the next one, the quotient. What is a quotient? Division problem, the answer of a division problem. So I'm dividing W and 24 and go left to right, so it's going to be W over 24 is greater than or equal to negative 1/6. That's my first answer. Do y'all understand how I did this? Okay? Is the coefficient negative? No. So will my sign reverse? No. How am I going to solve for W? I'm going to multiply by 24. I'm multiplying both sides by a positive, so my sign does not flip. And negative 1/6 times 24 is negative 4. Here's my number line. Here's negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. Any questions before we move on? So what's a product? Multiplication. What's quotient? Division. What's sum? Add. What's difference? Subtract. Okay, moving on to our word problems. A student pilot plans to spend 85 hours on flight training to earn a private license. The student has saved $6,800 for training. Which inequality can you use to find the possible hourly rates that the student can afford to pay for training? So this is how much they've saved. So that's going to go on what side? The right. How many hours does the student need? And they're going to pay 85 hours, yes, times however much it costs per hour. So how would I write that? And they want me to use R. 85R. Now, this is the most money they have. They've got to spend what? Or less than or equal to. They can't go over that because they haven't saved any more than that. So that would be you setting it up. Then you would solve it by dividing by 8. Yes? Would the sign flip? No. So R is less than or equal to 80? Yeah, thank you. So I divided 6,800 by 85 and I got 80. And then I would stick it on a number line. So here is my number line. Okay, the next one. A restaurant owner plans to place identical bouquets of flowers on 35 tables for opening night. The owner wants to spend no more than $400. So I know right now that it's going to be 400 and no more than is going to look like that. Do y'all agree? I'm not even going to look at their answer choices. I'm going to set it up first on my own. Which inequality can you use to find the possible amounts of money that the owner should budget for each bouquet of flowers? Well, how many bouquets of flowers do they need? 35 times how much it costs per bouquet. So here's my answer. None of theirs look like mine. They reversed it, didn't they? So which one means the same thing? B. Then it says, use the problem from above to answer the following question. What are the possible amounts of money the owner should budget for each bouquet? So all I need to do is go solve the inequality that we set up. So 35M is less than or equal to 400. So how would I solve? Divide both sides by 35. Do I reverse my sign? No, because the coefficient's positive, which means I'm dividing both sides by a positive. Do I need a label that it's money? Yes. So the owner needs to spend less than, but she could also spend equal to $11.43. Any questions? All right, let me pass out. You are going to do the whole front page, so right on there, all for the front. For 1 through 3, you're just matching them. If y'all would, write the answers like over here or something, like ABC, whatever, okay? For 4 through 15, there's going to be 2 answers. Solve the inequality, and please box it in, and then graph the inequality. Do not forget to reverse your sign. So are you going to reverse number 4? Yes. How do you know? Just by looking at it. The coefficient's negative. Very good. Okay. Flip to the back. On the back, we're going to do the odds. Do y'all know what that means? So you're going to not do the evens. You're going to skip 16. You're going to do 17 if you want to circle them. 19, 21, and 23, and you don't have to do 25. Everybody know what they're doing?
Can we do them for extra credit?
No, because I didn't. Okay, get busy.